Doing the Victoria's Secret fashion show was like probably one of the coolest experiences of my whole life. When I was a kid growing up, we had like a really small apartment, so sleepovers were really not a thing. But once a year, my parents would let me have a bunch of friends sleep over to watch the show. And we would eat popcorn and sit around and watch all the girls and, you know, think about when we grew up, like what we wanted to look like and be like. And I have a very vivid memory of being in 8th grade on my parents' desktop computer in the basement, Googling, what does it take to be a Victoria's Secret angel? I was committed. That's what I wanted to be when I grew up. I was gonna work out, I was gonna train, I was gonna do it, be a model. And then I saw that it said minimum 5'10", and I was like, I'll be a singer instead. So being on that stage and thinking about that moment was like, I made it here somehow. And it was really, really cool. It was full circle. Without Me was a really interesting experience for me because I never really put out one-off records. Everything's really conceptual and it's all like compact into a full storyline or a concept in an album, but this was just something I was feeling at the time. With a record like Without Me, I didn't know how I was gonna feel in 6 months. I didn't know if it was gonna be right for the next album. All I knew is that's how I felt right then and right there, and I wanted the world to know how I was feeling, so I kind of just put it out and waited to see what happened. And much to my surprise and excitement, every single fan was like, this is exactly the record I needed right now. And I think it speaks a lot to the way that myself and my fan base, I think we're kind of tuned into the same frequency. Like, a lot of them are going through the same stuff I'm going through, so it makes sense that when I put out a really personal song, they connect with it in the same way. But that's what's so special is, like, a lot of my fans started listening to me when they were teenagers, and so was I, and they're growing with me. So as we're all going through these, like, life changes and we're evolving, I'm kind of writing my story as they're growing along with it. So it always feels really personal and just, like, hits the right way every time. And it makes me just want to keep writing music like that, you know? Without Me started as kind of like a breakup record. And then as I started like diving deeper into my feelings and started playing the record for people, it even changed after I'd already made it, because I was looking at my life and looking at my relationships and friendships and stuff, and I realized I was kind of putting in a little more effort than everybody else, which is a really nice thing sometimes, to be like effortlessly compassionate, just wanting to help everyone around you and give them all of you all the time, but it can be really exhausting. I like taking care of my friends. I like taking care of my family. I just like taking care of people, and I'm really good at it, like really good at it. And it's one thing I'm really proud of about myself. I just have to be better at recognizing the signs of someone who's gonna take advantage of that. Sometimes people aren't used to having to take care of you, so then when you need them, they're like, I don't know what to do here. And that's kind of what I was going through. The craziest thing about it was that when I played it for people, some people in my life, I think, listened closely and were like, I think I might be a part of the problem you're singing about. And they started to put in more effort and be more communicative and like ask me about my feelings, and I watched my friendships change around the record, and it was like really awesome to think like, as an artist, you want to say what you feel, and you want to make art that's a reflection of your feelings, but you also want to make art that changes you and changes the world around you. So to watch my environment change because of the record I made was really rewarding, because it meant it still works, like art still speaks, you know? But all of that is just part of maturing and growing up, and I'm doing it through my 20s the same way that everybody else is. I'm just doing it on an album. So Without Me, because it wasn't part of an album, there was no concept. So there was no cinematic thing, there was no like name and character, and like Hopeless Rotten Kingdom was this like gunfight, car explosion, blood, like Romeo and Juliet, like cinematic metaphor, which was awesome because I got my point across, but I kind of did it under the veil of like, okay, I know I'm being a little dramatic, but it's Shakespeare, so this was me speaking from my heart. And I couldn't hide it with a metaphor or an allegory or a reference. It was just like, this is how I feel. And the music video especially was really cool for me because I think it's the first video where I really portrayed myself and not a character. And it was really liberating to do that. I'm always collecting stuff all the time. That's like part of what I do. I consider myself like, if there's like a hunter and a gatherer, I'm like a gatherer writer, where it's like I spend a couple months like finding poetry, finding movie references, photos I like colors, you know, because I'm a really visual writer. So I'm in that process right now. I'm gonna start writing really soon. But the cool thing about making an album for me is that once the floodgates are open, it just all comes out. So once I write the first song, the next 12, 13, 14, 15, whatever, follow really shortly after, because it's all just one story. It feels like it's one moment in time. It's this time capsule that like encompasses whatever's happening to me in that moment, and I kind of have just learned to let the feelings fly and just get them out when the portal's open, you know? I think right now is a really good time to be a woman in pop music, because I think that pop music fans are demanding more intelligent, more intentional music. It used to be cool to put out a love song, and it also used to be cool to be like singing about toxic relationships and singing about, you know, I would do anything for you, no matter what. People wanted records like that, but now that I think women have advanced in culture to the point where they're like standing up for themselves and being really vocal, I think that's, you know, projecting itself into pop music in the sense that female listeners and male listeners, just people in general, are saying, you know what, no. Like if you look at Ariana, for example, who I'm really proud of and I just admire her so much, she took this moment where people were saying, you know, so much about her personal life, and she turned it into this incredibly positive message that was like, you know what, don't let anyone make you feel bad for making decisions and for having life experiences. This is part of what it means to be a human. And I think that was a really, really important message. And I tried to do the same thing with Without Me, which was, hey, stand up for yourself. And I think because the culture has shifted to not silencing women and letting them like speak their minds even when they're aggravated or when it's inconvenient, music has kind of transcended into being a little more intentional in that way too.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more videos from your favorite artist. And while you're here, check out these other videos.